positive and negative. But yeah, I didn't get around filming a lot, and I really hope that for the end of Spooktober I am going to be able to post and create more videos for you guys. For everyone who stuck around, thank you so much. I'm always glad to see new faces, and also my loyal followers. I hope you will enjoy this video a lot, and let's get into it. I will start with the first story, and it's called Maybe It Was a Demon, or Maybe I Will Never Know. Okay. This will be my first time sharing this experience. Any feedback will be appreciated. I'm a building service contractor, and I have no experience in storytelling or writing. I'm just happy I found a place to share. Thank you. I have no explanation for any of the things I witnessed. I have never seen anything like it before or since. I do admit that I have never in my life felt so helpless. I was alone. No one else that I know of saw or heard the things I did. I did manage to get some shoddy video with an iPhone. I still have the phone, but it crashed, and I have no idea how to recover any media. I am 44 years old now. My experience happened early in the month of June 2018, around 2 a.m. I had just finished work for the day, and it was a beautiful night. I had the windows of my Ford Ecoline van down. Sorry if I mispronounced the word of the car. Enjoying the country air. I live pretty much right in the middle of Iowa. A nice house of 27 acres. My shop is on one side of the driveway, the house on the other. Large oak trees, large pine trees, and of course a yard light. Neighbors across the road, maybe 150 yards away. More neighbors across the creek. Anyway, as I was pulling in, I see maybe three or four sets of eyes under, or at least near my porch. Nothing super unusual, as I have from time to time a family of raccoons try to settle that close to the house. I noticed the eyes, and that must be the reason I didn't go straight inside the house. I figured I'd stop to grab the 22, just in case I got an aggressive mama raccoon. Before I step out of the van, I notice how full and bright the moon is. Above the tree line directly west of me. As I said, appreciated the scenery. I watched the moon go across the sky, like it would only in fast forward. This I videoed briefly. Maybe there is a legit reason the moon appeared to make about 3 hours of movement in 2 minutes, but at the same time the moon appeared to be still and normal. I shut off the camera on the phone, and then I hear this very unusual, very loud sound of large pieces of concrete being moved. I can't say that I saw large pieces of concrete moving, but I heard it, and I was very focused on this. This is not a normal thing to hear out here. So, as I'm trying to justify seeing the moon move in fast forward, and knowing I just heard my driveway open up, my thoughts are maybe there is an earthquake or a sinkhole, or I am having some kind of episode. Still in my van, windows open. I remember the eyes I saw when I first got home 15 minutes prior. But as I go to get out of the van, I see a huge thing moving towards the house, coming from where I heard the concrete moving. Not only do I see something huge, I hear the noise that I will never forget. I have no idea what I saw and struggle to find the words to describe the noise it was making. But I'm fumbling for my phone, trying not to move it too fast to get noticed and keep an eye on this huge thing that is in the shadows. But when this thing roared, it sounded like a mechanical dinosaur, bear, raft dog, giant bird screech. I froze, literally frozen in fear, and I just witnessed before the ungodly roar screech this thing reach up and run its hand, paw, or claw. I can't explain, I guess, because I didn't see it long enough to comprehend, but it stood from the ground with one arm or wing extended up to the bottom of the second story bedroom window. I shouldn't say it stood. It was walking, but that size of the thing, it did not move gracefully, but it didn't move loudly. Like when it wasn't roaring, I did not hear its movement. I have no idea where it came from, but the way I processed it, it moved to the driveway apart, came from underground, walked up on top of my house, ran its hand or whatever along the bottom of my daughter's window, screeched at the house, got behind the van, and screeched again. I say screech, but it was a lot more than a screech. At this time, I gave up on the idea of running to the shop for a rifle. I had a feeling that this thing came for something, but I don't know what. It could have busted in my house, torn it apart, if it wanted to do. Anyway, when it was behind me, I had my phone recording. I did not get a visual of things with a phone, at least not a clear shot. You could see a large thing moving and hear the noise. But I pulled out of there and drove straight back into town. The first lit up place was a car wash where I pulled in and rocked back and forth, so confused of what everything was. As soon as the sun came up, I went home. I only had a feeling that it came for something, and the way it made the noise made me think it wasn't there to harm my daughter. I say that, and although I felt it wasn't there to harm my daughter, I only felt that I thought that I can say that I left with the intention of leading it away from the house. But I was helpless. There is nothing I could have done to harm the thing or protect my only child. I only witnessed something I will probably never understand. I can't bring myself to speak about it to my daughter or anyone else close to me. I showed the video to some people, but did not explain to them what they were looking at, because every time the thing made a noise or was in view, and even when the moon was moving, the audio would become super distorted. It sounded like you were on the other end of a phone that someone was holding out the window driving 80 mph. I don't know how to process this experience. I wonder, was this a demon? Was this my imagination? Did I lose my mind for an hour? Where did it come from? Where did it go? What would move concrete that big? What the heck was the moon doing? And whatever happened to the raccoons I saw? If it was my imagination, how do I explain the video? I witnessed something. I saw, I heard, I felt the ground shake, but I will never understand. Like I said before, I'm not a writer. I'm just a guy from Iowa wondering about some crazy night. I own and operate a company. I speak to my employees and my clients daily. I am active in my community, and as far as I know, people have never questioned my sanity. Anyway, thank you. So, this first story is kind of crazy, very scary, and apparently so scary of an experience that he would have left his child behind. Leave it in the comments, would you have abandoned your child or tried to save it? I personally think if this really happened, it for sure is an incredibly scary moment, but share your opinion in the comments. Moving on, we've got a shorter, more chill story, which is called My Very First Encounter at Work. Reading back from my stories, I remembered I'd make a post about my very first encounter here at my hospital. I was brand new, my second grave shift. Training takes place in the daytime for 1 week, and you get transferred to the nights if that's your schedule. This was 4 years ago. There's 2 other officers with me. Eric, who was on his 2nd week of employment, and Jay, Edgelord, as he's self-titled. Eric was pretty happy-go-lucky. Give me a reason to put my hands on you kind of guy. Jay was very tall, very serious looking with a deep voice, and had a darker sense of humor. But a really fun guy to be around. On this night, in the wee hours, the morning, somewhere between 12 and 4 a.m., I can't exactly remember, Eric was patrolling the park garage, and Jay was with me in the historical building. He insisted it be him who goes with me and not Eric. I think it's because I'm the only female security officer, and the guys have taken a big brother approach on me. Now, before the current hospital owners, we were owned by a different company that is now bankrupt, by the way, and they had more lax policies and rules. Maintenance would often take up folding chairs, self-brought camping chairs to the roof of the historic building and hang out. It's out of sight from the ground, as there's a good 4 feet wall surrounding the roof. I say this because they often forgot to lock the roof access door when they were done. Anyway, Jay was clearing the roof, as maintenance had yet again forgotten to lock the door. While Jay was doing that, I was patrolling the 5-foot floor. Yes, the infamous 5-foot floor, twisting doorknobs and walked to ensure they were all locked. I was nearing a position request to both Jay and Eric, thinking they were playing a prank on me. Jay replies that he's still on the roof, and Eric states he's coming up to the top level of the parking garage. I look out the window and yep, there's Eric waving his flashlight so I can see him. I will never forget that night. That was the first night I realized I wasn't just patrolling for homeless, trespassers, or maintenance issues. This night is the night that changed my life and solidified my belief in the paranormal. So like I mentioned, this story I feel like is not demon, creature, moving things scary, but still, when you're in a dark hallway and you hear someone sprinting at you and there's no one there, I guess I would probably pee my pants. Let me know what you thought of this story in the comments. Anyway, let's move on to the last and third story. This one is called The Things You See in the Woods. First of all, let me start off by saying that this story is from almost 30 years ago, when I was a kid. I've told very few people the story due to not feeling like anyone would believe me. Like a lot of kids in the 90s, I was hanging out over a weekend with a close friend of mine and staying at his house with him and his family. We lived in rural Virginia and he lived in a small town like I did. We spent a lot of time riding four-wheelers and exploring the nearby woods. That was across a soybean field. One weekend I was visiting and it snowed an average amount for Virginia, 4 to 6 inches or so. We were beyond excited to take the four-wheelers out to the field and tear it up a little bit. After we were bored of that, we parked at the edge of the woods and walked in a ways. Now we had been in the woods quite a bit and had seen a lot of things. There was a lot of old equipment and even old rusted out cars spread throughout the area of the forest. Being teenagers, we thought it was really cool and would often go check these out. That day we decided that we were going to start building a fort of sorts back near the debris. I often called a small hatchet on me. When we were riding trails in case a smaller tree had fallen across the trail, I walked back to the four-wheeler and caught it and started to chop down the smaller tree to use as a base of a wall. For the life of me, I could not find another tree of the right size. After that one, sorry, I'm laughing because my dog is making funny noises. I hope you can hear it because it's very mouth sound quoted and it would be enjoyable for ASMR. Anyway, I walked back to the four-wheeler and got it and started to chop down a smaller tree to use the base of a wall. For the life of me, I could not find another tree of the right size, and that one was placed, so I started walking around the area without my friend. It was then that I stumbled upon a rotting deer carcass. This did not bother me. Growing up in rural Virginia, friends and family were hunters, and I had eaten my this prey for another animal that didn't stick around for its meal. What animals that could catch a deer were even out in this forest? When I get back to my friend to show him the carcass, he was puzzled as me, but we would just kind of let it be. I returned to building our fort, as I was using some rope to tie two of the smaller trees together. Something caught my eye about 50 yards away. What I saw was just the silhouette of a person. However, it was rounded off and blurry, almost like what you would see in a comic book or video game, indicating an unknown character. Startled, I simply yelled, "Hey!" at it. It was then that it darted behind a tree. I am now actually aware that we are not alone. I yelled for my friend, and he came walking over. I let him know what I just saw, and he laughs it off. As he's laughing, I stand up from my squatting position and see the same shadow over his shoulder, no more than 10 yards away. I scream, "Oh shit," and immediately take off running for the field as I yell at him to follow. I hear him following me as his footsteps grow closer. Then I hear his footsteps grow farther away. I turn around and look, and he has split off onto a different path. At this point, I really didn't care, and I just kept running. As I reach the field and get out of the woods, I see my friend standing about 30 yards down the line of woods, hunched over and breathing heavy. I checked behind me and see nothing as I started to walk towards him. I ask, "You saw that, right?" To which he responds, "Why do you think I'm out of breath?" We jump on the four-wheelers and head back towards his house, not saying a word. When we get back, I asked him what he saw because I wanted to know if it was the same thing I saw. He described it perfectly. We tried to talk to his parents, but they just laughed it off and said, "I guess you better stay out of those woods." He had the idea to go talk to his grandmother who lived a couple blocks away and had lived in town her whole life. We simply asked her if she has ever had anything strange, if she had ever heard anything strange about the woods over there. She then began to tell us about an old sawmill that had exploded back in her time. She said how much of a tragedy it was at the time, and that nearly everyone had lost their life. This explained the old equipment. This explained the old cars rusting out. They had cleaned up parts of the accident, like the dangerous parts, and left the rest. We then told her our story, to which she smiled and told us how people don't realize that we aren't alone in this world. Absolutely horrified at this point, we left. Neither one of us has ever returned to those woods. My hand axe is still sitting back there. I had terrible dreams for years about this incident, and still 30-ish years later, I have a random dream about the incident. I don't know what we ran into that day, and I'm certainly not going back to check. So, this was the last story, and it is quite scary. I had the chills reading it, and I would definitely not go back to those woods again. Then again, I would never about in the US, I guess. I heard so many scary stories about woods in the US. They seem to be all haunted 100%, and this girly pop will never step foot into them. At the same time, it fascinates me. But I'm a scaredy cat, so I could never. What about you guys? Would you love to explore haunted places and haunted forests, or would you rather keep out of them? Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate every single little bit of support that I get, and I really appreciate you guys. I hope you could relax, even though it was a rather scary episode. And if you liked it, please, you know, all the YouTube shenanigans, like, share, subscribe. Yes. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again very, very soon.